Now we're going to get to the fun part, which is making decorative tassels. These are an important thing to learn to make if we're right now getting into the season of royal regalia. If you're doing anything that requires a tassel, this is going to be a fun class for you. So they're actually fairly easy to make. A little tedious, but fairly easy. So the first thing you're going to do, in your kit, you're going to have this vintage gold tape. It's not a string, it's really flat, it's a tape. And you're going to take a little bit of our wee-haw and you're going to put it on just one end and then set it aside and let it dry. It takes a little bit of time to dry, and then we will get to that. Then, I believe that it's in the kit, but if not, you're going to need a piece of cardstock, and it has to be 1 inch wide and about 1.5 inches long. But the main thing is the width. So if you're following Sheryl's directions, and I did one, and then I'm going to tell you that it says 15 inches of this tape. You're not going to use 15 inches, you're going to use 14 inches. Okay, remember that, 14 inches. So, and then another thing, it comes with this gold, really beautiful thread that is cotton, and then it is wrapped with a gold tinsel. You're not going to use this for what she recommends. I find that it breaks, and we're going to do it my way. So you're not here, Sheryl, so this is how we're going to do it. So you're going to take the thread that's provided in the kit. So it's this kind of mustardy color. David, correct me, what color would you think that is?
Khaki.
Khaki. Yeah, I guess it is khaki because it's got a slight bit of green in it.
Tan.
Tan. Oh, right. So then you're going to take your cardstock and you're going to just snip in right here, just on each end here, a little channel. Then you're going to take this thread and you're going to fold it in about in half, and then you're going to go into that channel and into the channel, and then we're going to kind of even it out. It doesn't have to be totally even, but you can see then it's across, right? Doesn't matter which way you do it, but we're going to just, for making it easier, there. Okay, now you're going to have to stay in that position, cameraman. So we're going to take this gold tape, and this is why I'm doing it 14 inches, because it should wrap, and this, you don't want to get that thread tangled. And you want to make sure that everything is laying down perfectly in a row. And you're just going to wrap it all the way around. Semi-taut, but not so taut that you can't then ever get it off the cardstock. So, got a little overhang there. That's okay, we'll leave that there for now. All right, so then if you have this wonderful tool that we have in the boutique, you go in and you hold it like so, okay? I mean, if you have a forceps, that would work too. This is easier to navigate than that for this type of thing. So we've got it wrapped, it's clamped. You can see I started here at the edge, and I should have a little overhead hang piece there. This is twisted here, but this is not a problem, but you want these pieces to be all flat. So now it's the moment of truth. I'm going to take this off.
The thread.
The thread. Pull that out of that little channel that I created. Now I'm going to try to I want to tie this off, but I don't want to tie it super duper tight yet. And there's a reason for that. So I'm going to go like so. This is probably the most difficult part of this whole process. Okay, so I'm going to just hold it like there. And we just take your time and slip it out. I'm still holding the threads fairly tight. Okay, now I'm going to take my wonderful tool. Just to make it easy there. Now, I'm going to tie it, but I'm not going to tie it really tight yet. So I'm going to do it a couple of times. So it's got one knot. And this one can be a little tighter, but not that much. Okay, I think I'm going to do it just because I've got David here watching. I'm going to do it because I don't want to have the embarrassment of it breaking. So I'm going to just tie it 3 times, but I'm not pulling it tight. Okay, so zing. So we've got a little daisy. But you can see there's a fairly good size head to the daisy. So let's see, we've got 4 petals, and that's basically 4 because that is 1 petal there, the 2 ends. All right, now David, in decorative arts, in most...
This might show up better against the white.
Okay, so they can see it, sure.
It's not showing up that well.
So David, in the decorative arts, what are in the centers of most tassels?
In the centers?
The centers before the tails come off, or the fringe.
I don't know. Well, you have to wrap it, so then there's a loop that you hang it from.
It's usually a wooden ball.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to create a ball so that way the tassel is going to have this bulbousy part. So if we just did this with these, it's not going to have a bulbous. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, and I believe I cut this at, I'll measure it just so you know, 7 inches about. We're going to take 7 inches, and this is the piece that you put the wee-haw in one end. The opposite end of the wee-hawed, we are going to knot it 3 times. Doesn't have to be the most beautiful knots in the world. We're just going to bulk this knot up and make it fat. So that's a nice little... Now you could actually put a gold bead on here, or but the nice thing about doing it with this is you're not going to have, it's going to blend in. You're not going to have anything revealed. Okay, so I can't reach that far, but I know you want to see this on the white. So I will take away my trusty mat, which is pin cushion and everything else. I'm going to put that on the floor. Ooh, and what a mess under here. It's all the fur. So, next step is I'm going to thread this through. And because I wee-hawed it, it's easy peasy. Okay, so what I wanted, now I'm going to have to arrange this all. Oh, I see. It's a little too loose. So I'm going to tighten it up a bit. So I'm going to take this out. I'll take that out. and I was a little too loose for the camera because I didn't want to struggle. I'm going to just do a little running stitch through this. Well, that's not working. I got to do a better knot. A better knot. Now, I've already made 3 of these, so what I would suggest is when you knot this up, tie it off a little tighter than I did. I didn't want to show the struggle on camera, but this will fix that. So as far as pulling this together, so let's see, is our opening tightened up a bit? Yeah, I'm going to tie this off tighter too. All right, so let's give that a whirl now. All right, so we've got 2. And I'll just do a couple more stitches because I feel it's a little loose. There, it's getting just a little more what I want. This really actually shouldn't be that much work, but I was trying to be there. Okay. And I'm not going to leave this thread in here for a needle in for a second, just in case. So, now that is the inside, so we're going to go, the outside should look pretty good. So now I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to use our little spudger to force it through. Come on. They're all waiting. There, I think I made contact. All right. Okay, I think we got it. All right, so now the point is, by doing it this way with the knot going through, let's call this the bud, because it's almost like a flower bud. The whole point of that is so that when it hangs, it's going to hang evenly. You know, if you made this and then attached this on with some thread, it would always be imbalanced. So this has a nice balance. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut all of this off, all of this, because now we don't need any of this.
This is what?
This
What are you
is
cutting
all
off?
of these threads.
Oh, okay.
So they're now cut off because the the knot in the tape is holding it all together. Okay, so then the next step is this part. So what I'm going to do...
This part being what?
This little wrapped area here.
Yeah, wrap.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'm going to first wrap it with this thread. And this is for strength.
What are you wrapping?
You just wait a second, mister. I'll show you. Okay, so I've got to decide. I'm going to try to arrange all of the tape so that I see how it looks. I like it all to fall fairly even. I don't want it twisted. I want it to be very smooth. Okay?
Over the bud.
Over the bud. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and I want to be mindful of that. I want them to look
So
fit.
are you...
So I'm going to take my knotted thread.
You have it on a needle.
I have it on a needle, and I've knotted it. And I'm going to go in, and I'm going to figure about, that looks like a nice bit. Okay. Now, I am going to wrap it. I wrap it, wrap it, wrap it. I'm holding it pretty hard. So I think that looks pretty good. Don't want to wrap it too far that I can't knot it off. So I think that looks pretty good. I want that to be tight. Although the next step, nothing is going to ever come apart. Okay, so I've got that done. My scissors are a mess. Okay, I've got that done. And I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to use a little needle. And I'm going to just arrange if I've got any threads. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to just pull and push till I get a really nice feeling. And then I'm going to also just do this. I want it to have a very, and then I'll maybe do that. Get a little fat bud on it. Okay. So I've done that. So Sheryl provided, you can see after all that rough housing that I just did with that this beautiful, delicate thread could not withstand all of that. But it has a great use. So we're going to take our Weehaw and we are going to put some, if it'll come out, on this bit. Doesn't take much. Matter of fact, I'm just going to use what I've got. I pushed out of it. And this dries clear, so you don't have to worry about. Okay, so that's going to be there. I'm going to just clean a little bit of that up there. Yeah, this beautiful angel thread. I'm going to wrap it. And you get plenty of this so that you can, I'm not going to use any more of this. I feel like I don't have to. Okay, I've covered every inch of the glue. We've got a little to spare. It takes a little while for, WeHo does not set instantly. So you have an opportunity to wiggle something around. So there that's done. So I'm going to move that so that you can see. That's going to hold that in place. Now I'm going to trim. And
You're cutting the loops.
I am
You're not
cutting.
trimming anything.
Well, I had to trim one piece. I am
Okay.
trimming. So if there's one piece that somehow got funky and you need to trim it, then trim it. But I'm just cutting all the loops. It's not easy to always tell if you got them all, but I believe, well, maybe there's one more. No, because they curl right at the end. Okay, so I've got that done. Now we have our little brushes that you could use for this, but I found that the spudger works fantastic. It's tough. It gets right up in there. And I love how it kind of curls. The ends are kind of slightly curly. Don't you think that's neat? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn it the other way so we can get the other way too. I have seen these little beautiful tassels for sale for like $25 a piece, old ones. So this is really a nice technique to have to do. So I think that's pretty good. So this, I think we could just clip this off. Maybe it's going to need just a tiny drop right here, just to keep it in place. I mean, now we are into something different because it's not exactly fabric. It's even though it's thread, it does have a metal casing on it. So I'm going to just put that there just because we don't want to have hanging threads. But you can see that's how you make these. And they're a lot of fun, and they're a great decorative item. I think this one I like. I'm going to fringe these out, the rest of them out a little more, both sides. And I think it also gives a sense of movement if they're not just hanging straight down. I'm going to get them a little. Do you like them?
Yes, very nice. Very nice.
So I've got those done. Final thing is the little decorations for the hat.
Now I want to show you what's in the hat package. It has its own little packet of things. And what it is we're going to be doing the white silk satin. And this is the lining that's going to cover our buckram. You've got your buckram piece. You've got a couple pieces of the soutache, the gold soutache. And then we have the fur. So,
And these are all together.
These are all together in one package for you. Do you have the hat is on her, isn't it? You might show them the hat for real. And you can see it's got the fur around her face. And then it's got this very funny thing in white on her hat. And what that is a leaf that we're going to add because it was on the antique. And I had to do a lot of research to figure out why that funny piece there. And as it turns out, it's a remnant of something the cavalry used, and it was a sandbag that they had on their hats. And they would take that out of their hat and put it on their right shoulder for extra padding, because it was a cavalry. That's where they would have been hit first.
Oh.
Was that right shoulder?
So that was they were storing it on their hat.
Yes, they were, and that's why it's there, and that's why I thought it had to be included too. Now I cut out my pattern pieces. You get one piece for the crown, and then you're going to need to cut out 2 pieces for the leaf. So I took a scrap of another piece of fabric, so I'd have 2 here. Then you've got the bias wrap and one in satin. It's already in your kit, will be on the bias. You just need to cut it the shape of the pattern. And then we've got the buckram, which all I have to do is transfer center front, center back, and show myself that this is the overlap on it. Then you're given a template here that we're going to use for sewing, so don't forget to cut it out on the line. So you have a triangle, and then we're going to cut a little notch here, and that's going to end up holding our trim while we're sewing. So that's it. I'm going to cut out, and I'll be back. Okay, so we've cut our hat crown, which kind of looks like a beanie piece here, but it actually gets folded into sort of triangular. So we cut out one of those, we folded it in half, we did a scant 1/4 inch up the side, and then when I had it on the ironing board, I went ahead and quartered it. So I ironed this, and then I turned it and ironed it this way, so that we end up with lines coming up the hat, which will be helpful when we put the trim on. So now we're going to turn it right side out, and I'm going to use my spudger to kind of get the tip out.
That handy spudger.
That handy spudger, can't live without it. Okay. Then remember I said something about this cardboard piece. Well, this is where this comes into play, because we're going to slip this in here so that when we sew our braid on, we have something so it doesn't sew through the other part of the hat.
Oh, that's a great idea,
Okay,
Cheryl.
so that's the template,
that's number 2.
isn't that
That's number
genius?
2. Great. Yes.
Then also, I cut a slit in the bottom of the template, and what I'm going to do is hang the soutache in there like that, so we can get a nice straight.
But you could also use this to help us this wonderful tool.
Oh, you're right. And then it won't wiggle around, will it? Oh, there we go. Perfect. So I'm going to thread up my needle with a gold thread, and we're just going to do a running stitch, of course, down the middle of the soutache, as you would imagine. So let me get this started
And
here.
you just go all the way to the top.
I go all the way to the
And
top,
over the hill and
over the hill and down the other side. And the reason I did that, because Michael said, why didn't you apply this braid before the hat? And I said, because the tip would have been very messy.
Yeah, it
because you
would
would
have
have had 4 raw edges coming together, which would not have been nice.
No.
So doing this, I just gonna go.
Well, the paper just makes that so you're not.
So you're not sewing into the other side. It's just really easy.
Well, it's as easy as soutache could be.
Yeah. Which always has its little joys of
But
working
it's
with
they're always a very lovely decorative element.
Yes.
Well, shall we sew this and come back and
We
show
will
them the
show
finish?
it when we're finished. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I just finished using my template in here so I could stitch, and I stitched up one side and over the top, down the other. And then I switched my template the other direction and did the other one up over here and down. So
that little piece of cardstock is really important.
it's really important.
Because I
This one's-
watched you do it, and it makes it a lot
Oh,
easier.
it's so easy. So now we're going to do the lining on the buckram form. So we've pressed down one end and one long edge here.
Is that what, 1/4 of an inch that you've done?
I think that's more like 3/8 on the top.
Okay.
Probably 1/4 on the end. And then we're going to put this inside. And we're not going to start with the folded edge. We're going to start with the raw edge. And the reason we did the 1/4 inch is because it just hooks nicely right over the buckram. So we're going to use a little wee-haw now, and we're going to lightly glue this down.
And wee-haw doesn't stick right away. So
No, we have to give it a little wait time here.
Which helps to give it the adjust it.
Yeah. Yes, if you don't like where you are, just pull it up and set it down
But
again.
once it's set,
It's there. And you just want to keep it smooth as you're going around. But this,
because that is going to be the crown, isn't it?
it is. It's the
Okay.
crown to the hat.
So that'll be facing the, so a nice, pretty edge is
You'll have
nice.
a perfect inside because this is all the lining on the inside of the hat.
And I think our class enjoyed making this.
They did. I love hat making, and they seem to really, really have fun with this. It's easy, quick, and very satisfying. So
Well, and they had a lot of intense sewing to do.
they
so
did.
So
So this was sort of the fun part. Okay, so now I'm going to use that folded edge that we pressed in as the overlap, so that's nice and neat. Then we will do the same thing on the bottom. Except we don't have a fold, but we will just be pulling.
Or would this really be the top? Because that's,
Doesn't matter.
okay.
It's all covered up. Remember,
that's
it's
right.
all
Oh, yeah,
covered
it
up
can
in
go either
fur.
way, can't it?
It can go either way you want it to go. Let's get it. Yes. Turned over and hold it so that it gets a little tack to it so we can go on. Yeah. And this glue, you don't want to overuse it. It doesn't take much to
No.
get it glued down, and it doesn't like to be overdone. So,
Wee-haws like simplicity.
yes. Okay, here we are at the start. I'll just put a little glue there so that folded edge is stuck down as well. It's looking pretty good inside,
It
which
is.
is what we're looking for. I think I'll put just one more dot here. We can get that snugged up. Okay, we'll let that dry.
All right, we'll let that dry and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We've got all of our tassels made. I have now this tassel that is the one we just made. I put a knot on the end. I have wee-hawed it because I want it to stay in that knot. I've trimmed it very close. That's going to go right here on the end. But before we do that, I'm not done making little goodies. So there's no directions in the kit that I could see for this detail that goes on the hat. So you have this little pedestal that we made, Sheryl made, and that goes
a petal.
a little petal. But this was actually filled with, I believe, sand, and it was used to put on their shoulder so that if they got, it would protect them. So armor, if you like. So that's going to go about here, right here on placement. But on top of that, there is a coin. I don't have a coin, so I'm going to use one of our pretty buttons that we have. And then you're going to take the scrap left over of the gold tape, and you're going to do the same thing, except you're going to make it just about a 1-inch piece, and you're just going to wrap it. And it's fairly easy. This one we're not going to care how we wrap it.
What are you making?
Well, you're just going to have to wait and see.
Okay, well.
It's like a pom-pom kind of. Okay, so now this one, it doesn't.
So you have the threads and a little
I got the threads in the groove.
Like you did in the first one.
So
But this is a different size piece of cardboard.
Right. I've taken the other piece that we used and I've cut it in half because this is just a little decoration. I'm going to pull it. Pull it right in the center. And then I'm going to pull it off.
So you're sliding that off.
Yep.
The wrapped tape.
Okay. So now it's like so.
Like a half-size version of the thing you made before.
Exactly. But I'm using whatever scraps are. There's not going to be anything left. And before I didn't do this step, we had 2 steps. Now I'm just going to down.
So this doesn't have a bud on the end.
This does not have a bud. No bud. So it's basically, now I've got a little, you know how I am. You're the same way. I've got a little tiny piece. And I'm going to just go ahead and put that into.
It's a scrap.
It's just a scrap.
That you're going to.
I am going to utilize.
Bulk it up.
I'm bulking it up. There won't be one. There'll be a couple centimeters laying around here, but that's about it. Tie it off really tight. Okay, so now then, again, I'm going to cut the loops, cut them up. I think I got them all. Yeah, I think I got them all. Okay.
Looks like one is very long, though.
Well, I can trim that. Okay, so it's all trimmed, and it's okay if they're a little slightly different. Okay, because this is going to have a different application.
Did you miss one? No.
No. Where's my spudger? Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. Open these babies up. These I want really opened up. I want them to be very... Okay, so that's going to go here. Probably a better position would be with the curls inside. So I might as well take the opportunity here because it's a nice time to do it and just stitch them together. So that's pretty good. All right, so that's going to go right there.
Can you turn it toward me? Okay.
And then I'm going to then put this right on the edge, like so.
And does that button go front and center on the head or no?
It's going to go off to the side,
Okay.
like
All right.
so.
Okay, I guess you'll see it on the top.
So I'll sew this up and then I'll come back and show you the finished version of this. All right, doll friends, I have completed this project. I want to show you what we did. Of course, we applied the decoration with the little fringe, and we've added our decorative button. You'll get something different than this, but this worked for what we needed. And then I did tack this
You're going to have to turn her head
at the top.
toward me.
Yes, sure. I did tack this in place here so that way it had kind of a chic placement. And then something I did differently than Sheryl, her bud of her tassel was right at the tip, and I created this about a 1/4 inch, knotted it off, sewed it to the tip with the knot, and then gave it that, it has a nice little hang to it, which I always think that dress is human drama, and this will make a very interesting movement when you're
There, that's great.
displaying your doll and visualizing her getting off of her horse or riding her horse. And then we have the ties, which go to the decorative jacket. Again, I had a little bit of leftover tape. I fringed it, knotted it, used that to give a little life in the fur. And then what is interesting is the buttons work to hold it in place. So once you figure out how you want to have the jacket draped over her shoulder, then you can kind of use those buttons to hold it. So the project is now complete. And I want to thank Sheryl Williams for putting a tremendous amount of work into this complicated kit. And it's not just the making the kit and the instructions and the patterns that are complicated. It's sourcing all of the materials to make this, which is not an easy thing to do. So I hope you enjoy creating this costume. And I know that we had a lot of fun. We put in lots and lots of hours doing this virtual class and also doing the in-life class. So anyways, doll friends, I hope you enjoy this kit, and we will be back sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.